Okay, ladies and gentlemen, gentlemen and ladies, ladies and gents, we're putting up the video. This is what in the world is about to happen. Pay attention. And as you see, tethering, only 8 minutes. That's because I have a signal booster and it's the beginning of the month before they turn my service down as far as my internet speed. But for right now, tethering, 8 minutes for a video, not bad, huh? All right, now while we're doing that, we have to go online. Uh-oh, got to turn that off. That junk will really eat up my gigabytes. Ladies and gentlemen, we're gonna go here. And what we're gonna do is we're gonna type in 7 CFR 1901.508. Now, while we type this in and we do our Google search for 1901.508, and of course, you know we're going to Cornell Law for the Cornell Law University, and we're going to look up something because I got some information for those of you who have mortgages that you need to hear. And then I'm going to show you a document, so I'm going to have to put you all on pause for a brief moment, okay? So stay tuned for just a moment. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, I had to go and amend this form, so it took me about 7 minutes to do that, so it was only a second for the rest of you guys. Apparently somebody's trying to contact me. I want you guys to pay attention to something. Those of you who got mortgages, I promise you, you need to pay attention to this video. If you haven't paid attention to any of the other videos, you want to pay attention to this one. This one's going to be a little long. I am tired. I've been up since 5 o'clock and I am really tired. But I want to get this information out to you, show you how tired I am. Let's see if those 8 minutes, look at that. Okay. 58 seconds remaining for this video to be up online for you all. I cannot tell you how happy I am to finally be able to get something like that done. So let's put you guys next to each other so that I can switch back and forth. This is Title 7 CFR. Title 7 is the agricultural code. Okay, I know most of you don't know anything about law, so let me explain to you a little bit. The titles, that's where the section of the code is that covers the section of the government, like Title 5 of United States Code, USC. That's the administrative code. That controls everything in government. Controls the courts, controls the corporations, controls the corporations. They're all administrative. The whole system is administrative, controlled by what's called the Administrative Procedures Act, which is codified as Title 5 of the United States Code. You want to beat the system? Go over the US Code, Title 5. Understand the procedures. That's what they're doing to you in the courts. Yeah, all that other stuff that you hear people talking about, that's fine. Let them talk about that. Well, they're doing this and they're practicing trust law and they're practicing this. They're practicing administrative law, which is equity. They're practicing administrative law. These are not judicial courts. You're going to see that in the document that we're producing. Well, let's get to this document right here. And I want you to pay attention to something. This is how servicing of insured notes outstanding with investors. Why is it outstanding? Because the investor is still saying that they're owed money. Okay, these are insured notes that are insured by the United States government. What do we mean by insured? It means government guarantee. I want you to pay attention. Assignment of insured notes to rural development. Assignment at the request of the holder for assignment of an insured note to rural development during the option period at the request of the holder. The following procedures apply. Well, pay attention. The holder will endorse the insured note as follows. Pay to the order of the United States of America without recourse. The holder will then deliver the endorsed note. Why do they want to assign it to rural development? Because they want to get paid. Okay? So they will deliver the endorsed note. Who will endorse it? They will, together with the insurance agreement. What insurance agreement? Interesting. The mortgage insurance agreement, because they're dealing with a note to the finance director's office, fiscal services. On receipt of the endorsed note with the accompanying insurance agreement, the Director Finance Office will acknowledge receipt of the note and process a payment to the assigner of the par value of the note as of the date of the treasury check. Yes, they get paid with a treasury check. Ladies and gentlemen, what we're saying is once they put the endorsement on the note, it's out of our hands. We presume that they have followed the law and that they have received their payment. We presume that. I want you to pay attention. I'm going to show you something. I'm not installing no updates from that. I got to show you something. So hold on 1 second. Ladies and gentlemen, this is what we're talking about, the paid to the order of. Instead of putting the United States of America without recourse, they put United States of America and the name of their company without recourse. Okay? And then they sign it by one of their officers. This is an endorsed note because it has their stamp and their signature. It's an endorsed note. The holder of the endorsed note with the accompanying agreement, they send it to the finance director. See, it says the holder of the endorsed note, the endorsed insured note, as follows, blah, 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 and they will deliver the note together with the insurance agreement. This is their responsibility now. Once they endorse the note, under tender law, let's see if our video is up. Oh, it's processing. It's 95%. It's almost done. Oh, my stars. So you guys will have that video up very soon. I think you're going to like it. It talks about something that will prove to be interesting to some people if they pay attention. Some people will understand the importance of that video, and some people will just think it's just another video of somebody talking about something, blah, 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 blah. And that's on them. But again, they endorse a note paid to the order of, and you see this part right here they leave out. They take out this entity's name and put their entity's name without recourse. So let's let you see it in action. Paid to the order of Residential Funding Corporation, LLC, without recourse, SCME Mortgage Bankers Incorporated, a California corporation, okay? And then they endorse it. This is how they get paid. Paid to the order of is an endorsement. An endorsement is proof of tender of payment and proof of acceptance of tender of payment. This is proof of acceptance. But hold on. We have a dual endorsement on the same document. Paid to the Deutsche Bank Trust Company Americas as trustee without recourse, Residential Funding Company, LLC. And here's their vice president. And this is not her hand stamp. This is their actual stamp with her signature on it, so she doesn't have to sign all those mortgages. They do this with all of your mortgages, and they send it to the Director of Finance office through the typing of keys on a keyboard. Ladies and gentlemen, once they do this, this is your prima facie evidence that they have already received payment. You're only going to understand that by me explaining the following. So video is up, ladies and gentlemen. There you go. All right, I don't need the internet anymore, so I'm going to disconnect from the internet because I don't need to waste any more of my bandwidth. Okay, so we are disconnecting. Okay, my computer is letting me know that someone has just signed on to one of the accounts, and I know who it was, and I want to make sure that there's nothing here for me. This is an alert, and I just need to not respond to it. It's telling me for yeah, I approve of that message. So thank you, Google, for telling me that somebody signed on to one of my accounts. All right, ladies and gentlemen, this right here is your proof of payment, proof of acceptance. With every offer, I kept saying to all of you, you need to understand what tender is. Tender is you make an offer. Your deed of trust is an offer. They accept the offer, and proof of their acceptance is their endorsement stamp on the back of the note or the front of the note. What did they put this on? They put this on the actual deed of trust, and it was on the back page of the signature page. Both signatures, dual endorsement, ladies and gentlemen. Okay, now we got that out of the way. let's talk about this document. We have an appeal here in California that we're bringing forth. This is something that I put together, and I'm actually impressed by what I put together. So we're going to turn down my instrumental just a little bit. Give me 1 second. No, we'll leave it that way. I'll turn it down this way. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to go ahead and read this appeal because I like it. I'm impressed with it. I think I did a pretty good job. You are free to use the words of this document in your stuff. I think it might prove helpful for you. The problem is the appeals court have been nitpicking people's appeals, cherry picking, taking things out, putting things in, doing whatever they want. We want to narrow that down. We want to stop that from happening. So this is how we do that. First, I put appeal brief, want a form. I'm letting them know right now, I'm not following your format for how an appeal is supposed to be done. I'm not going to include no blue cover sheet. I'm not going to include no gold cover sheet. I'm not going to include no lines on the side. I'm not going to include no type font issues. It's going to be 14. Everybody and their grandmama at its regular size is going to be able to read it. Okay? But it says, this appeal is being completed by a non-learned party who comes before this body in sui juris form and is to be offered or afforded equal access to justice and at the administration thereof. This body is aware that this matter may not be given special consideration due to its lacking in format, style, and or official presentation. It is our endeavor to stick to the main points of which this appeal is being taken, and to expect this body to recognize the affidavit style and format of this appeal brief, because it will include a notary seal to it. Once you include that notary seal to your appeals and you do it in affidavit format, you also list it as evidence. Okay? Because it becomes evidence under the rules of evidence. And to expect this body to recognize the affidavit style format of this appeal brief, and any rebuttal of this affidavit must be as stipulated in law for responding to and or rebutting an affidavit. This affidavit must be considered as evidence not after the fact, but of the fact. And it is the duty, because you cannot bring up new evidence on appeal. It is the duty, it is duly notarized, attested, certified, declared, ascribed, and sworn under penalty of the constitutions for the Republic of California and the United States in the organic form as being accurately presented. Okay, we later talk about it, how it's on first-hand knowledge, and your appeals they always must state that this is actual first-hand knowledge, that you have actual knowledge of all of these facts. The property address, a widowed woman, has been a family homestead since 1961. This property was acquired under the FHA Act of 1934 through the Federal Housing Administration Urban Housing Development Department. Per that Act of 1934, each of these homes, with a government guarantee securing the loan, that guarantees, or the guarantee carries with it, or that guarantee carries with it, the full faith and credit of the United States government, should there be a default on the loan. The loan for the home also carried with it the as required by law, mortgage insurance, see California mortgage law, as well as Federal Housing Act for verification, the deed of trust and the items numbered MN, because that's the number on the deed of trust, and Section 10 of that document, security instrument, financial instruments, specifically states that the mortgage insurance is there to cover the lender should the borrower default in a loan. Notice of default included by reference. I'll change it to the full word included. According to the California mortgage law, the governing statute for these proceedings, the deed of trust is the binding contract that must be taken in full consideration. According to trust law, the grantor's intentions is law of the trust, and the county that this was filed in, Superior Court, was bound by the grantor's intentions, and the grantor's intentions were clear that in case of default, the property had default insurance. There's no evidence on the record indicating the opposing party made any application and or claim for damages to recover the insured amount of blah, blah, blah approximately. California, being a non-judicial state, is also governed by the Federal Non-Judicial Foreclosure Act. Under that act, A letter from FHA is required before the lender may foreclose on any home. That letter is absent in this matter. The trial court never sought this information despite the information being demanded on record and via subpoenas. None of the prerequisites for foreclosure proceedings were met. And before the trial court had any authority to exercise any discretion in or jurisdiction, it was required by statute governing foreclosure to secure this information to make sure that the borrower's rights were not being infringed upon. The trial court, California has a borrower's rights law. Okay, that's why I highlighted it. The trial court failed to do this in violation of its duty to the borrower's rights in this instance. I will highlight borrower's rights again. This being a government-secured loan and per Title VII of the Code of Federal Regulation, the lender was to receive payment at par value upon presentation of the endorsed note. Based on that criteria and the evidence placed on the record identifying the note as having been endorsed not once but twice, is evidence that the debt had already been satisfied. Under Title VII of the Code of Federal Regulations 1901.508, the endorsed note is prima facie evidence of receipt of payment, and there has been no evidence placed on the record by the opposing party that they had filed a claim with the United States government based on its full faith and credit guarantee, which is another breach of that agreement. You see, if they're claiming they have not been paid, then they must file their claim with the U.S. government because that's who is supposed to pay them. And if they can't get their money from the U.S. government, then they can come back and claim the home. We know they didn't do that. That's what the understanding is regarding that. It has always been the claim of this party that the so-called, and that's what I got to add the why, that the so-called lender has already been compensated in full as required by statute and the agreement known as the deed of trust. We have placed before this body the public evidence in the form of the actual acts of Congress, the statutory regulations, as well as the deed of trust, highlighting the mortgage insurance. And because this information is public record, common knowledge, and actual law, we place this body on judicial notice of our incorporating these acts, laws, documents, security instruments. Sorry about that, ladies and gentlemen. I need you all to hold. I apologize to you all for that. Let me go ahead and continue reading this. It has always been a claim of this party that so-called lender has actually been compensated for in full for the as required by statute, and that the agreement known as the deed of trust, and the agreement known as the deed of trust. Let me get rid of this comma because I don't need to do that. And will be its own conjunction. We have placed before this body plus the comma. We place before this body the public evidence in the form of actual acts of Congress, statutory regulations, as well as the deed of trust highlighting the mortgage insurance. And because this information is public record, common knowledge, and actual law, we place this body on judicial notice of our incorporating these acts, laws, documents, security instruments into the record of this, in their totality by reference. So we're incorporating all of that junk into this by reference, and we're putting the court on judicial notice. We're going to talk about judicial notice later. Shows you how it applies. This is particularly pertaining to this case. You guys can figure out how to do it on your documents when you send your stuff into the court. Don't be afraid to do an appeal. They rule against you, appeal that case. Do not sit up there and just take defeat. Fight, fight, fight. Get up, fight some more. Get up, fight some more. Get up, fight some more. You keep fighting until you ain't got no more fighting you to be fighting about. Sorry, I'm messing with my glasses because I dropped them earlier today. And I scratched the lenses. And they're my reading glasses. Anyway, errors by the trial court. The opposing party, the defendants in this matter, Deutsche Bank, etc., all filed a complaint, blah, 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 on or about January 2017. And because California law does not allow one or permit one to file a counter lawsuit in a foreclosure case, the remedy is filing an adverse claim, placing notice of adverse claim in the case or related claim, which was done here. The County Blank Superior Court and its officers refused to recognize the related claim notice placed in both cases, refused to issue subpoenas, refused to follow the requirements on the notification. We notified the blah, blah, blah County Superior Court that several of its staff had interfered with our acquiring subpoenas so as to acquire the necessary information for us to prosecute our case, and no action was taken by the court. We notified the County Superior Court that one of its officers intentionally issued a void subpoena. The word is several. By failing to place the court seal on the subpoenas, put an S at the end of here. When brought to the clerk's attention, the clerk refused to correct, and that's what I forgot to put. The word I want to use is refuse to rectify. We brought to the clerk's supervisor's attention, the supervisor again refused. When brought to that supervisor's attention, the subpoenas were finally issued. We reminded the court that this is a normal course, or get rid of the id. We remind the court that this is a normal course of business, that subpoenas are issued out of court on a daily basis. We reminded We reminded the court that this is a normal process and the subpoenas are issued on a daily basis. We reminded the court that this was our right. And we want to put a T here and a Y here. They simply didn't care. Now, I explain what I mean by court in a moment. So let me take care of some things, if y'all don't mind. So we brought it to the judge's attention, who never responded, never raised issue, who remained silent, documenting acquiescence and approval of this blocking of access, gatekeeping conduct. Again, gatekeeping is a serious charge when it comes to the court because the court's supposed to have equal access and is always supposed to be open. So we're bringing the charge of gatekeeping on appeal. On or about the 14th of April 2017, the court scheduled a status conference and never gave us notice. We did receive notice from opposing counsel less than 7 days prior to the hearing. Let's change that 7. We're going to make that 5. Five business days prior to the hearing, because California, you have to give notice at least 5 business days in advance. It was less than 5 business days. We notified the court of the conflict and of the failure of notice because the scheduled day for the hearing was the same as a doctor's appointment pre-scheduled 3 months prior. We gave the court alternate days for which we would be more than willing and available to be present at such a hearing. Don't want to appear at any hearing. We don't want to be submitting to any hearing. And look, ladies and gentlemen, a lot of people are doing documents where they're saying respectfully submitted and we submit this and submit that. Stop submitting. Every time you submit something to one of their administrative agencies, you're submitting to their jurisdiction, which means you're conceding to their authority. That means that they can do whatever they want. Excuse me. And the court to this very day has never responded to our notifications. Fearing that the court will continue its ignoring our right to communicate with the court, we were present at that hearing, because we knew the court wasn't going to appreciate the fact that we were bringing up an issue. Reminded the court of the lack of notice and asked for the case to be rescheduled, and the court refused to hear us. At this hearing, the court, through its officers, and please note, anytime we make mention of the court, we are not speaking of the institution. We are speaking of the judicial officers who operate in an administrative, ministerial capacity. This judicial officer acted as if she was in a rush, dismissing the case, failing to take into consideration any of the information put into the matter as evidence, and our request for a jury trial. In this, our adverse claim, this was our case, not hers. In other words, not the opposing party, not the judge. Access to the court is supposed to be equal and fair. Access to justice is supposed to be equal and fair. All of our attempts to communicate with the courts here in California have met with blocking of access, denial of access, gatekeeping, which is illegal. It's easy to say that this is not the case, which is the response we would expect. However, got to get rid of that space there. We got to put a comma, because however deserves its own comma. We place the evidence into the record which documents and demonstrates that this is the case. Continual gatekeeping evidence. These are just my titles. I just created them. We place before the court that we have no income. We place before the court that we cannot be, nor can any other party be taxed for their labor. For, we'll probably take this stuff out. The stuff that really doesn't apply, I just added this stuff. For to tax a party for their labor would make their labor a privilege and not a right. of which we know no court can convert a right to a privilege. When a court denies you something, when they simply write denied on your paperwork, they can't do that. They must explain in detail the reason for their denial, and they must show you the law for which they're basing their explanation on, because they cannot just simply dismiss your complaint. Go back and read the Judiciary Act, 1789, September 24th, Section 23. We were ordered by the appeal court, to pay the transcript fee, of which we arrived at the blah, blah, blah Superior Court and paid the transcript fee as ordered by this court. This was done more than 90 days ago, and still no transcripts have been produced, slowing up our appeal, okay, denying us our right to appeal. Matter of fact, let me add that. Okay. We told the court that the defendants were operating in a conspiracy with the blah blah Superior Court and the get my mouse down here, and the blah 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 County Sheriff's Department to deprive us of our property, of which we had proved on the record. It's not supposed to be how our ownership rights. We notified the court that despite the fact that we were removed, that we removed the related matter, blah, 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 to the federal district court, which stripped the blah, blah County Superior Court of any jurisdiction to move. The blah, blah, blah County Superior Court issued an order authorizing the blah, blah County Sheriff's Department to seize our property. We are not experts in law, as mentioned. We are not learned in law. However, we do know right from wrong. We know that once a matter has been removed to federal district court from the Superior Court, the Superior Court is prohibited from moving on the original matter that was removed to federal district court until the matter has been remanded back to the Superior Court. And because this was a related matter to this matter, it has relevance. When the Superior Court judge who acted without discretion continued to move forward when the matter was outside the court's jurisdiction, this amounted to an illegal act because it was done without authority. Gone. This is not supposed to be gone. It's supposed to be done without discretion. Ladies and gentlemen, I got that on because that's my email. This is my Gmail letting me know that the person is still logging on to that account. That's why I had to answer that phone when it rang. And this is Google. Okay. Sending me my 3 alerts. Okay, got that one. Got that one. And let's see. You guys excuse me for just a second. I have to check the last one just to make sure. Okay. And okay. Everything else is kosher. I got about 110 emails I need to read. Whew. That ain't being done no time soon. Let me finish this video so I can go get me some rest. Done without discretion, done without capacity. Every motion, every presentment, every document being blocked at this particular moment by the blah blah County Superior Court to rectify the situation, amounting to gatekeeping. We asked this court for a stay. Supposed to be of the outcome. Excuse me. A stay pending the outcome of the appeal because the property interest was involved, and this court said no. Failure to act, unconstitutional. A party failing to act when it has the duty to act is guilty of failure of duty of care and dereliction of duty. This body is aware of the Non-Judicial Foreclosure Act. This body is aware of the FHA Act of 1934 and its subsequent acts, other housing acts. This body is aware of the California mortgage law, which covers mortgages. because it's self-evident. This body is aware of government-backed unsecured loans. This body is aware of good faith and credit clause of both the state of California's Constitution and the United States Constitution. This body is aware of mortgage insurance. The blah blah Superior Court was also aware of each of these issues and failed to acknowledge them in this instance, in violation of our constitutional rights. I already put inalienable and alienable rights later. Looking for a reason. In 2014, the bank signed an agreement with the United States Attorney General's Office admitting guilt in violation of the people's right with respects to mortgages. This is a matter of fact, and we do hereby, at this very moment, incorporate each one of these signed confessions and agreements, as well as the information contained in that suit, into this matter by reference under judicial notice. Judicial notice is a rule in the law of evidence that allows a fact to be introduced into evidence if the truth of the fact is so notorious and well known or so authoritatively attested that it cannot reasonably be doubted. This is done upon a request of a party seeking to rely on the fact at issue. Facts and materials admitted under judicial notice are accepted without being formally introduced by a witness or other rule of evidence, and they are even admitted if one party wishes to lead evidence to the contrary. In the United States, Article 2 of the Federal Rules of Evidence, FRE, addresses judicial notice in federal courts. And this article is widely copied by the United States, the U.S. states, Federal Rule of Evidence 201B permits judges to take judicial notice of two categories of facts. Those are generally known within the territorial jurisdiction of the trial court, e.g. locations of streets within the court's jurisdiction, or those that are capable of accurate and ready determination by resort of sources whose accuracy cannot be reasonably questioned, i.e. the day of the week on a certain day. FRE also notes that judicial notice may be permissive or mandatory. If it is permissive, then the court may choose to take judicial notice of a fact proffered, or may reject the request and require the party to introduce evidence in support of their point. If it is mandatory, then the court must take judicial notice of a fact proffered. Although FRE does not expand upon what kind of facts that would fall into the category, one category or another, the courts have ruled judicial notice must be taken of federal public laws, treaties, state public laws, and official regulations, both federal and local government agencies. Ladies and gentlemen, I introduced the case law. And that's exactly what I'm doing. I'm introducing evidence based on their records, based on their laws, based on the deed of trust, actual records, because they have already, and what I didn't know what I was saying there. Okay, so I have to go back and correct that. With respect to securitization, we notified the blah blah county court that we were the trust interest holder. And as with regards to the security instrument known as the deed of trust, we notified the county blah blah Superior Court that the deed of trust had been securitized and traded on the market as a mortgage-backed security. And Deutsche Bank Trust Americas Incorporated, etc., all is a mortgage-backed securities investment group, security, that per revenue law. I need to move this. I was going to leave it there, and I know now that I can't. So let's. Sitting in the morning sun, I'll be sitting. Anyway, that per revenue law and the Security Exchange Act of 1934, the defendants had failed. I already know because that's the way it, AILED, to just the amount claimed due and owed them. I gotta go back over. Oh, okay. That's why you see the word just there, because it was supposed to be adjust the amount claimed due and owed them with the amount that they were required to pay the trust interest holder, the borrower. We notified the county superior court that the amount claimed owed, payable, and due was accurate and that we did not owe anything. Ladies and gentlemen, what I'm saying is that as a trust interest holder, they are supposed to be paying you your dividends for your security being traded on the market, which you authorize. That's the mortgage-backed security for which you are a part of. You are one of the trust interest holders, but regards your security, you are the top dog, the lead trust interest holder. That means you were due interest payments and they did not pay you. You didn't pay attention to the paperwork because you didn't know how to read it, but they sent you the paperwork talking about this within the first 3 months of your going through this, and within the first 3 years, all those papers you were receiving, it was mixed up in all of that. Well, you're saying that they never paid you. You can even say they never sent it to you. That's up to you. Okay. As required under the mortgage law of the state of California, if tender of payment is made prior to the trustee sale, such resale is invalidated as a result of the tender of payment. Not only did the endorsement stand as proof of tender of payment under tender of payment law codified in the Uniform Commercial Code, Article 3, Article 9, but we also tendered payment via money order, and the defendants appealed the document, this evidence, into the record. No. Oh, to document this evidence into the record. In violation of California mortgage law and the Non-Judicial Foreclosure Act and the Federal Housing Act and the Securitization Act and due process of law, and we object. And we continue to put that word, we object, in a document showing our objection on the record. Introduction of the deed of trust was introduction of loan amount in an amount of greater than the statutory jurisdiction of this court. The court was without jurisdiction to act. Most of you who are going through foreclosures are going through foreclosures in small claims court. Small claims court is a court of limited jurisdiction, which means the dollar amount is limited. Once they put in the deed of trust showing that you owe that money, they have just introduced that as evidence that the amount for this particular matter is greater than the amount of the jurisdiction of that court. And we're not going in there and bringing up that argument. That's why I put that in all caps, because I need to expound on that paragraph. That's what I'm saying to you all. However, no, we're going to skip that part. We're going to go, we introduced supportive evidence of illegal activity. We said that Sussex County Court was an administrative agency and not part of the judicial branch of government. We said that this could be proved by looking at their tax records. If the blah blah County Superior Court is an administrative agency, as an administrative agency pays taxes or conducts commercial business at any point in time during the court's always open period, then it cannot represent the branch of government, or a branch of government, simply because it is a well-known fact that the sovereign pays no tax. So there can be no record of payments of any tax by any government sovereign claiming entity. It is because of this that we started receiving prejudicial treatment of our access to the always open but unfair, unequal, impeded, gate-kept court, which is unconstitutional. Always open court became unfair. Okay, what's unconstitutional? And a violation of our inalienable and unalienable rights secured thereby. You guys, some of you guys are using other words. The word is inalienable and unalienable, not the other way around, not the way you guys have been saying it. Oh God, you guys need to do more research on the words. Okay, look at the actual so-called official documents. I need to separate this paragraph, so I'll do it now, because even though I'm going to incorporate this back into the original document, it is oftentimes that the appeals court, and this raised on appeal, these are the issues raised on the appeal. It is oftentimes that the appeals court tends to pick and choose what issues it will hear on appeal, because it operates in an administrative capacity, providing superior reviewing only. Now, I need to highlight that because there's a reason why I'm highlighting superior reviewing. The reviewing capacity of the appeals court places it in an administrative agency and not a judicial branch. We are bringing our appeal before the judicial branch of government and not the administrative branch of either Congress or the executive branch. Do we not have this right? Do we not have the right to expect the court to comply with the exercise of our rights? Because we have the right to access the judicial branch of government. It's the right to redress. Once again, we place this court on judicial notice that it is an adjudicated fact that the court operates in an administrative capacity and as an administrative agency, and the fact that the administrative office of the court is associated with this court directly or indirectly, is further because the states have their own administrative office of the court. Okay, this is what you all should know. Federal courts have their administrative office of the court, and the state court's administrative office of the court operates under the federal administrative office of the court. This court is directly or indirectly in furtherance proof of the adjudicated set of facts. What's the adjudicated state of facts? This actual case law, and we're in California. It is the accepted rule, not only in state courts but also in federal courts as well, that when a judge is enforcing administrative law, they are described as extensions of the administrative agency for superior, and this is where I highlighted, pay attention, remember I just highlighted superior reviewing purpose? That's why the appeals court are there just to review the case. That's why they won't hear new evidence, because they're just reviewing the record. As ministerial clerks for an agency, okay? Not a branch of government, an agency, okay? Pay attention. Let's give that a little highlight. You know what? We ain't gonna highlight that yellow. I wanna highlight that something special because I wanna get their attention. So let's see, what we gonna highlight? Nah, that's too dark, that's too dark. I want something special, I said. Nah, that's too dark. Too dark, too dark. Nope. Let's see. Yeah, we'll do that. All right, that should get their attention. All right, now let's pay attention. That's actually adjudicated case law for the state of California. That hasn't changed, ladies and gentlemen. That's 1914. Administrative court. I tried to tell y'all, but nobody listened to me. Told y'all whoever put together the laws you did not know exist, they did a superb job. It is impossible to prove jurisdiction exists absent a substantial nexus with the state, such as voluntary subscription and license. All jurisdictional facts supporting the claim of the supposed jurisdiction must appear on the record of the court. So we must challenge the court's jurisdiction. That's what all this is about. But I had to put that. This is another case, primarily Cali and other places, but pay attention. I love my KC Davis, y'all. That was the man. Bold and okay. Judges who become involved in enforcing mere statutes, civil or criminal in nature or otherwise. We can get rid of this part because the original case did not say that. Acts as mere clerks of the involved agency. And I haven't gone through this, I haven't edited, I'm editing it now while talking to you all because this is what I'm putting forth as an appeal, okay? It says, when acting to enforce a statute, a judge of a municipal court is acting as an administrative officer and not in a judicial capacity. Courts in administrating or enforcing statutes do not act judicially, but merely administratively. Okay, I think that's supposed to be a comma. The basics in our law that an administrative agency may act only within the areas of jurisdiction marked out for it by law. If an individual does not come within the coverage of the particular agency enabling, and I've already read this to you, that's what we're relying on. And that's pretty much the end of the document. And then I finish showing how we do challenge jurisdiction, we do not consent, and I finish this document up. Ladies and gentlemen, I am putting this video up here because some of you are having some issues on how to write an appeal, how to respond to this, how to respond to that. This video will be up tonight as well. I'm putting this video up so that you guys can have that, okay? So that you can have that information. So with that being said, there's no reason for me to make this any longer. I just wanted to put this information up because I know it will help some of you. So there you go. I hope this has been beneficial to those of you who are having some mortgage issues and who need to file an appeal. You don't have to use this for an appeal. Go back over this document, copy what you need, type up what you need, do the work. I know that you'd rather for me to put a template up there for you, but no, I'd rather you sit up there and take the time, stop, pause, type, stop, pause, type. I'd rather for you to put together the mother time instead of you guys wanting everybody to hand something to you. Yeah, I said it. So many of you, send me a template. Can you send me a copy? I need to see a template. I want to see a template. Template. Please, can I get a template? Template. That's all I keep hearing. I have to take the time to do this. So if I have to take the time to put this stuff together and just sit up here and put these videos together, then you're going to take the time to do the work or you're not going to get nothing done. Get rid of this. I'm going to let that keep popping up. No more times? Anyway, there it is. It's usually three times the charm. Ladies and gentlemen, get this. And I'm not changing it. I'm going to let that keep going. No, I'll probably change it tomorrow. I got something I can do to correct that. Ladies and gentlemen, he's licking his tongue out of chaw because he feels like I feel. Oh, you know, it's a boy. Because only a boy would do that. A girl wouldn't do that. Okay? Sure, he's gay, but that's what he's doing. All right. He's a model. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, you're going to have to do the work. You're going to have to stop feeling sorry for yourself. You're going to have to get up off of your behinds and you're going to have to start fighting for yourself. I'm going to give you this little short story, then I'm going to get off of this video because I'm tired. I was helping somebody with their house. Several mistakes have been made and they've run into several problems with the court. So they had a sale date for yesterday, August 23rd. They called me up crying on Saturday. I told them, look, I've done just about all I can do. You filed the other paperwork too late and they blocking you at every single court. There's not much more I can do for you. However, take this document, send it to them, and I typed it up for them, just sat there and typed up a QWR, put in the right information, because a QWR, you must request financial information from them. But I told them I want all the financials. I don't want partial financials. Partial financials is not enough. That is not proof of a debt being owed. So that's what I wrote them. I told her, mail it to them, fax it to them. So she did it. So I called her up on Wednesday. I said, I need to know, have they postponed the sale since it was due, or excuse me, I called her up on Tuesday. So I need to know if they postponed the sale since it's due tomorrow. I actually thought it was due on Tuesday. She says, well, yeah, I looked and it's not up there anymore. I said, no, I still need you to call them to confirm. So she talked about being on the internet, looking all day, watching it, but she said they actually called her and told her that the date has been postponed. They sent the information to their attorneys, blah, blah, blah. She listened, and she can breathe a little bit longer. I can't save her home because she can't afford to save her home. But what I can tell you, ladies and gentlemen, I told her, I said, give me a call once you have confirmed that the sale's been postponed. Well, guess what? She never called me. She called me up Saturday crying, talking about how she was going to lose her home and how I was the only one who could help her and she didn't know what to do. And I told her, and I'm going to tell you exactly how I told her because I keep it real with you guys. I said, you're going to need to ask Jehovah for his help. I said, because I've done all I can do. And Wednesday, the home did not get sold. But she never called me. So I called her today. I reminded her of how the first thing I said, you know, you called me up Saturday and you were crying and talking about how you were going to lose your home and nobody was there to help you and blah, blah, blah. And I said, the house didn't sell, did it? She said, no, it didn't sell and blah, blah, and she's happy, ladies and gentlemen. So I reminded her. I said, but I thought I asked you to give me a call. I mean, you called me up Saturday, wanted me to be concerned about your home and be concerned about what you're going through. And I thought I asked you to give me a call. Now you see why I don't want all of you calling me. Now you see why I can't help all of you, because the people I am helping don't appreciate what I'm doing for them. Made up every excuse in the world as to why she didn't call me. Every excuse. But on Saturday, she didn't hesitate to call me crying, trying to get sympathy from me. And I told her when she called me crying, I said, that's not going to work on me. I said, this is what you need to do. Because I told her I'm tired. You don't get to use, and women, sorry, you guys have that sort of thing with me that you can manipulate me. And so I am more stern with you than I am with the guys because I won't allow you to manipulate me. That ain't happening. Okay? My mother did that all my life. And although I miss my mother dearly, I don't miss that part of her. Or my brothers and sisters who've done the same thing. So no, I won't let you do that. And yes, I'm going to be hard on all of you because you deserve it. And oh, by the way, like I talked about that Carol person, that's exactly what she went out of her way to do. She felt like she wanted to get her point across to me because she wanted to affect me somehow. Well, Carol, I hope you got my message. Ladies and gentlemen, this video will help those of you who are going to court, who don't know how to write a motion, who need to fight. These are the issues that you should be bringing up because there are issues you can bring up on appeal. There are issues that they can't defeat. As you see, all the points I brought up were points that they can't defeat. They're matters of record under judicial notice. And if you don't, you're not going to be able to copy all the judicial notice case law that I put in there. That's why you go to Google and you type in judicial notice ? And you get the case law because it's there. That's where I got it from. Okay? Most of the writing that you saw there came from me, except for when it started talking about judicial notice. Part of that was from Wikipedia, okay? Only part of it, only about 2 paragraphs. But everything else was coming from me. If you notice, that document doesn't sound like it's coming from one of them sovereign citizens and one of them pro se blah, 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 blah people. When I listened to that thing in Natural Reader, man, I promise you, it sounded like some stupid attorney had written it. So I appreciated this document so much that I decided, before I even completed it, to put this junk on the internet so that you guys could have it, so that you could have the arguments, because we're going in there with all of the wrong arguments. We need to be using their statutes. We need to be using their laws against them because that's what the law requires. Okay, ladies and gentlemen. All right, with that being said, I'm going to have a Coke and a smile, and I'm going to tell all of you to have the same. I got to get online and talk to these people. So you all have a good night, have a good day, have a good life. Goodbye.